I am Phoebe and I am from Manchester. I have been fencing since I was about 11, I think. And I've been fencing on the international circuit since I was about 13. Yeah, well, I'm back in Manchester now, but the start of about this time last year, I moved to London to try and fence. I would like to say full time, but as much as possible. I had been very sick just before and I'd really missed training while I was in school and things, and I just wanted to go and fence and do the best that I could. So I decided to move down to London where there is more training and better standard in the day and that kind of thing. So I moved down and had a part-time job too, and was just training with the wonderful people over at Leon Paul. And yeah, it was a really good experience. It was very tough moving to London on my own, and all of the normal financial supporting myself kind of things. But also it was just very hard to adjust to the training regime, especially after having been out of it for so long. And also it's quite an intimidating environment with so many good athletes around. But it was a really good experience, and I'm very glad I did it. It was a difficult time for me, like in terms of dealing with all of the more emotional and external parts of sport. And I think that those were the areas that he really helped me with. He had some really great ideas, and just also having that support was something that I think just needed the most at that time, really. And it was so good. Yeah. I think Keith realised quite early on that what I needed the most was sort of that support and advice, really, and those kind of things. So there was just so many calls where he was just like so supportive and inspiring, really. And I think anyone that knows Keith and has heard his story knows that he has had a very inspiring journey. And it was just, yeah, there was a lot of instances where we spoke about things like that, and it was just it was it was quite an emotional experience, but it helped me, I think, the most, really. And obviously all of the other things in TAP, the mindfulness stuff and all of that too, was, I think, very helpful for me in the time. And also just the self-analysis that we did, I think, is something that is quite easy to forget when you're training so much, but I think is actually very beneficial. Yeah, I think it's very important to be an active, participant in helping yourself, especially in terms of the more personal advice. They can't help you if you aren't willing to share with them and be honest and make that connection, and also dedicate somewhat of your time to it. I don't think that it's too big of an ask. I mean, we all have very busy schedules, but just dedicating even every other week or once a month or something, I think is important. Basically just that you have to show up to receive the support. They can't help you if you're not going to put in the effort to receive the help, I think. I think that I have quite a lot of privilege in the world, and I think as athletes we all have a certain amount of privilege to be able to be doing a sport that we love so much. And I think that then it's sort of your job to use that in a positive way where you can. And for me, I sort of knew that I could deal with a lot of the things that I was dealt with sexism. I have experienced a lot of it for a long time, and I know that I can deal with it and power through it, basically. But I think what kick-started me and my friend Bronwyn in talking about this was actually that we started to see a lot of the younger fencers coming up, and we started to see those people experiencing the same things that had happened to us in terms of sexism and fencing. And it was really heartbreaking, actually, because there was such, obviously, regardless of whether you're a good athlete or not, you deserve to be treated with equal respect. But yeah, especially from such good and passionate young athletes, it was really sad to see them being put down in that way, or just having the negative effects of that kind of thing put on them. Having conversations with Keith was very helpful for me, actually, in realising so much of the stuff going on, and having someone confirm to me that I wasn't crazy and that it was happening, and just sort of encouraging me to speak up about it. And yeah, that was really helpful. But there's so many factors that I think are important in creating equal sport. We all believe that sport should be equal. That's why we practice no drugs and clean sport. So why should we not extend that to being equal in opportunities? Basically, after a few different incidents, me and my friends, a wider group of friends, had discussed how frustrated we were about sexism. But I think that no one was really speaking up about it. And I understand, obviously, it's a very difficult thing to talk about. Also, it comes with a lot of emotion, and also this fear that it's not going to be taken well, especially speaking to a body who is in charge of a lot of what we do. But me and my friend Bronwyn, we sort of decided that we'd had enough, and we sent an email to Georgina, is how it started really, about how we would like a conversation with her about it. And then she responded, and we had, I think, about 3 or 4 Zoom calls, lots of long sessions talking about the things that we had noticed and cared about and all of those things. She was super helpful and responsive about it all, and I think from there it's just extended. We've continued to be a part of the ADP conversations around sexism. We've been involved in a few of those, and usually beforehand Georgina speaks to us to see what we think should happen at these ADP camps and how we think it could go, to improve things in the best way. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of different people involved in this conversation, and we wanted it to be more than just me and Bronwyn speaking. It all sort of boils down to the fact that athletes are made by their community, by their coaches and their teammates, and all of those things are obviously all of your own hard work, but also it's a real group effort to make a good athlete. And I think that it's only fair to give that back to your community where you can, and to also take that help when it's offered and really make the most of it, which is what I feel like I had the opportunity to do with the TAP programme.